Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bruce Smith along with Ken Graber. We're back here at the Daviess County Museum going to do part 2 of our feature about the Stella Bogner collection here at the Daviess County Museum. The first part we emphasized and talked about Stella's remarkable 60 scrapbooks of newspaper clippings and articles that she had compiled over the course of her life. In this second part of our tape, we're going to talk about another aspect of Stella's amazing collection, and that is the notebooks that she had compiled from records she hand-copied at the Daviess County Museum. And these were marriage, probate, and death records at the courthouse that she hand-copied before the 1927 fire that gutted the courthouse that year. Now, we'd like to go back and take a look at some of the other items in the Stella Bogner collection that are very interesting. And besides her scrapbooks, we're back now to the archive search list for the Stella Bogner collection. And we're going to continue looking down this long list. And you can see we've got all these different scrapbooks that Ms. Bogner put together during the course of her life. And we're going to go down here to the other types of things that she did. And she had these, what I'm going to call notebooks. And we're going to go to, I think it's the next page, and show you an example of one of these notebooks and these remarkable records that Ms. Bogner copied from the Daviess County Courthouse. And there are several of them. I'm just going to pick out one in particular here. And this is the one, the Stella Bogner, what's called Index of the 1868 to 1920 marriages. So we just looked at these scrapbooks of newspaper articles or clippings that Ms. Bogner cut out of newspapers and put into 60 scrapbooks during the course of her life. In addition to that remarkable work, she also paid regular visits to the courthouse and hand-copied marriage and death records, some of them dating back as early as 1868. I'm going to show you an example of this notebook, and this is this one that she did from 1868 to 1920 marriages. We're going to click that on, and you can see this is one of those standard kind of what I call traditional what we used to call composition books that Ms. Bogner kept. And this is in her handwriting. She's characterized this as her number 6 notebook. And she's done this alphabetically. And she's gone from Lew, L-E-W, to Mack and Myers. Those are the last names. And again, these are marriage records. Now, this is an entirely different format, obviously, than the scrapbooks of the newspaper clippings. In these notebooks where she's copied out marriage records, what she's done is she's done this alphabetically. Remember, this particular notebook starts with Lewis. So here the first entry in this particular notebook, and again this goes back to 1865, she's listed Betty Lewis. And what this means is that she's copied a record from the Daviess County Courthouse that Betty Lewis married Barry Harvey on August 1, 1886. The next entry on the same page in this particular notebook, again this is hand copied from the Daviess County Courthouse records, is Callie, C-A-L-L-I-E Lewis, married Herbert N. Colbert on June 23, 1895. And what's unique about these handwritten entries is that Ms. Bogner alphabetized each of these entries. So if you went to the H section of her notebooks, you would find an entry for Barry Harvey. In other words, she entered these marriages twice, once for the wife, and then in another area for the husband. Well, again, how do you find these people in this needle in the haystack, in these unique marriage records? You'd have to have, in order to use these notebooks, these of the marriage records, you'd have to have some indication of the time period when the person you're interested in was married. So, for instance, was the person you're researching, were they married during this time frame of 1868 to 1920? If they weren't, then obviously they wouldn't be referenced in this book. If you think or have an inkling that the person you're researching was married during this period of time in Daviess County from 1868 to 1920, you probably will be able to find the specific entry as to when that person was married. And again, so we go up here to this previous, we looked at the one from 1868, 1920 to Lewis to Myers, but the one right before that, which is, of course, number 5, that is, again, 1868 to 1920, alphabetized for Hopkins to Lewis. So you would need to look for a person in during that time period. Again, let's review again. How do we find this person? Well, again, in this needle in a haystack. Well, the first entry that we found was Betty Lewis in this one particular notebook. So let's say, hypothetically, you're looking for Betty. Well, again, let's review quickly. If you're looking for Betty Lewis, that's the person you're researching. You start in PastPerfectOnline with its search by term. It's a research tool that you can use. Click that on. Remember, you go up to the people section and you're looking for, this time, hypothetically, Betty Lewis. So we'll go to the L's. We click on L. And we scroll down this, again, incredibly long list of names. Again, we have almost 50,000 names now entered in PastPerfectOnline. We scroll down here till we get to Lewis, and there's Betty. And so we click on Betty, and we have one entry. So hypothetically, if you were researching Betty Lewis, that's the person you were interested in finding, you would first go to search by term, look under L, click on Betty Lewis, and then that would show you all the references we have throughout our entire collection about Betty Lewis. We have one result, and that is the Stella Bogner Index of Marriages. So that gives you a couple of examples of how you can use Stella's remarkable collection to help you in your family and genealogy research. Now, let me give you a downside to part of this collection. And again, let's go back into this collection of her marriage records. Click on this first page, and you can see her handwriting was very good. So the names that are listed on this page and each subsequent page are fairly easy to read. Because the size of the page is what I call standard a notebook type size. But if you go back to these scrapbooks of the newspaper clippings that Ms. Bogner put together, it's an entirely different story. And let me we'll go back here and find one of her scrapbooks. And let's just pick on scrapbook 49, an entirely different scrapbook of newspaper clippings. Again, it's the same format, and let's scroll down and just take a look at a particular page. Now, the problem with the scrapbook collection, all of which have been scanned, hundreds of pages of clippings in the Stella Bogner collection, is that the online PastPerfect system does not have a zoom function. So if you find a particular clipping that you're interested in, you can see it's very difficult to read this print, because obviously the clippings were a very, very small text. The page is very large, so there's no zoom function with PastPerfectOnline. Now Ken, my tech guy, tells me that you can, if you find a page in the Stella Bogner scrapbooks that you're interested in reading, you can save that to your computer or your home device, and then use the zoom function on your home device to blow that page up to make it easier to read. Also, the good news is that the PastPerfect system at the museum, the one that we use in the research room, does have a zoom function. So if you find something in one of the Stella Bogner newspaper clipping scrapbooks that you're very interested in and you want to see them, you can make an appointment to come into the museum's research room. We're open by appointment on Wednesday afternoons, and you can come in, go to that scrapbook, and there's a zoom function, and I've used it many times, that is very, very helpful in blowing a particular page up so you can read each of those clippings that you're interested in. So hopefully this has been helpful in getting you started on the Stella Bogner collection. We've only really touched upon this remarkable woman's lifelong work as a genealogist, to show you how well respected Ms. Bogner was. In 1939, she was awarded a Certificate of Merit in Genealogy and was nominated as a Fellow of the Institute of American Genealogy out of Chicago, Illinois. So obviously she was a well-respected, well-known, and very talented genealogy researcher, and we are thrilled that we have her very impressive collection here as part of the museum's collection that we can offer to the public. So if you have any questions about what we've talked about today, you can send either Ken or I an email, and that's at dchistory@sbcglobal.net, or you can call and leave us a message at 812-257-0301. Hopefully this has been helpful, and again, we appreciate all your support for the Daviess County Museum. Thank you.